everyone, Thomas here and welcome back to another video. So today I'm back here for another mansion build, and today we're going to go ahead and do something a little bit different, and we're going to go ahead and create this, well, not really home, this lot called Simburbia Estate. So if you want to go ahead and download it for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is real Thomas TV1. So this is a little bit different for me, as you can probably tell, and basically what it is, it's a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek that, well, you don't have to place it there, but that's where I built it. And it's got 5 kind of family homes within one lot. It's kind of like a little cul-de-sac estate sort of thing. So I've been wanting to do one of these for such a long time, and I don't know why I've kind of been putting it off for such a long time though. It's not really that difficult. It kind of just has a lot more prep and planning time towards it, because, you know, you've got to kind of space out the lots and decide where everything's going to go and, you know, proportions, everything like that. So it did take a little bit of prep work to kind of get this ready, but I'm so happy with the end result. It turned out much better than I expected it to be, and yeah, so it's got 5 homes like I said, and then you can see these, like, well, what I've done is that I've kind of mapped out with that low-lying fence where each of the lots are going to be, and then those kind of like 2 tiny ones in the middle on each side of the road. I don't know if you can see what I mean. It's kind of like on the right hand side of this lot, and it's also on the other side of the road the same. Those are 2 little gardens, because since it's on a 50 by 50, there isn't really that much space that I could add, so each home had their own kind of big garden space as well, which is kind of one of the downsides about this. But I did go ahead and add those 2 little public gardens, so it's more of like a communal area. So it's kind of like a little seating area, a fountain, and then on the other side it's kind of like a little gardening area too. So that's what you could use for kind of the backyard space, I suppose, in this kind of space. I did go ahead and actually try this on a 64 by 64 to begin with, but I don't really know why, to be honest. It just kind of felt way too big for what I wanted to do, which, you know, considering me, that isn't really something I see a lot. But it just didn't really work out that well, and it just seemed to be way much more space, like, to fill in that I kind of wanted to do, and it just kind of seemed like a little bit of a waste of space. So I did go ahead and try this lot here on a 50 by 50, and it just worked out much better. Everything was more kind of like cozy, and the space was kind of filled up evenly and nicely, and it kind of just worked out a lot better. But, you know, of course you could go ahead and download this for yourself, and you could go ahead and place it on a 64 by 64, and then maybe kind of like, you know, make a road going off to the back or something and add a few more houses. But also one of the other things as well is thinking, well, you know, I don't really know why you would need more than 5 homes on one lot, because this lot isn't really the most practical thing, I would say. I've been kind of thinking about different ideas of how you could use this lot. Maybe you have like a multi-generational family, and then this could be kind of like a space where you can kind of keep an eye on all of them at the same time, but also have their own spaces, if that makes sense. So that's a good idea if you want to go ahead and kind of use this, but you're not really too sure what to use it for. So that's a good idea there. Now, actually, what I did is that all the houses are pretty much the same. I used all of the same kind of like exterior wall coverings and stuff like that, just because I wanted to kind of have some sort of like uniform kind of style into it, and I actually based this place off kind of like a place that I live in real life. I also live in a cul-de-sac just like this, actually, and some of the houses are kind of inspired by ones kind of like similar to us, and what I actually did is that the houses that were building on this side, I actually built the same houses on the other side of the lot, and that was actually kind of another thing that I took inspiration for my own kind of estate here, because like one of my neighbour's houses just down the road is 100% identical to ours, so it was kind of just that idea, which is also, I totally forgot to mention, with this lot in total took me about 2 hours and a half, I think it was, to do, which isn't a really long time actually. I was expecting it to take me a long time, because it's literally like doing 5 different speed builds in one, but it still only took me about 2 hours and a half. I think kind of 2 reasons why it didn't take that long. Firstly is because, like I said, I'd kind of copied and pasted the houses, I guess you could say. There isn't really that functioning game, but I kind of looked at the house and then see what I did and replicated on the other side. And also the houses inside themselves are pretty small, and that's, you know, it just didn't really take long to finish it, because each of the rooms were pretty small, because, you know, it's like 5 homes in one lot, so the houses were a little bit smaller inside for what I normally do, but, you know, they are still pretty decent family homes, because for me, since I do mansion build all the time, and I've mentioned this a few times, but I always, when I go to do smaller homes, I end up kind of getting the floor plans wrong, because I'm so used to making the rooms absolutely huge for mansion builds, and I end up doing that as well when it comes to doing the occasional smaller home too, so I was kind of happy with myself that I managed to kind of break that habit and kind of have things at a decent size for today's build. So I'm actually really happy with the floor plans of each of the homes too, and I actually kind of learned a lot, I would say, from this, because I always have a lot of trouble when it comes to floor plans in general, so it kind of helped me a lot today, having to do like, you know, so many at one time, and I kind of just learned from my mistakes from the previous one that I did, and then when I move on to the next house, I kind of improved it, if that makes sense. And you know, I kind of went back and changed things as I went, and you can see that I've done all of the wall coverings and stuff already, for two reasons. One, to kind of have that uniform style throughout all the homes. But don't worry, not exactly every single one of the homes have exactly the same wall coverings. For the bedrooms, I did go ahead and change things up and, you know, things like that. And the other thing as well is that I kind of didn't want to kind of, well, you know, the speed build is kind of long. It's nearly at the 80-minute mark, is it? I think it is. So that's kind of a very long video for me. So that was just one way as well, kind of, you know, make things a little bit easier. And you're going to see the wall coverings anyway when we come to do the interior finishing. So I'm like, you know what? Why kind of waste time on the speed build? If I'm kind of pushed for time, I might as well just cut it out because you're going to see it anyway. I do sometimes include it if I have a load of time to spare in the video. I might, you know, just leave it in. But yeah, so what else can I talk about? Well, I'm actually recording this on the 14th of October, which is kind of like the day that last week's mansion build's going up, if that makes sense. So the Craftsman Mansion is going up later today for me, but it would be exactly a week ago when you see this, I think. Now, this kind of the problem with doing videos in advance, because I don't really know if we're gonna get any Sims news or anything, and that kind of changes my schedule. I've got to cover that or something, so sometimes it kind of goes a little bit wrong. And that's one of the reasons why I don't really like to do voiceovers this early. But the reason I'm doing this voiceover a week in advance, I normally do them like 2 days or 1 day in advance, is because we're actually getting some renovations done on the house. Now, we've been doing renovations for a while, like painting and stuff like that, but tomorrow we're actually getting a new fireplace fitted, and then shortly after that we're getting new carpets all the way through the house too. So I kind of just wanted to get this voiceover done, because for the mansion builds last week, which is going up later today for me, I had to record that voiceover so late before the video goes up. I only had like a little bit of time before I had to get the video up to do that voiceover, which was very frustrating, and everybody in the house was like in, so it just made it a lot worse. So I've got a chance now, everybody's out the house, which means I don't really feel that kind of held back, I suppose. You may hear, like, compared to this voiceover and the voiceover last week, I was a little bit more quieter because everybody's in the house. And you know, I suppose I don't have to be, it's just that I feel like people are listening in, so I'm always a little bit held back. And I feel like a lot of people who do voiceovers, like I've watched as well, say that same thing when people are in the home, so you know, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Anyway, so we're just working on the first house, I think this is. Is this the first? I can't even remember. They all look kind of the same, so I can't really tell if this is the first or the second one. But also what I did is because, like, you know, the first house on the left is the same as the kind of nearest one to the road on the right, if that makes sense. I cut that out the footage because I copied it for like mostly exactly the same, just for the very last house. But I do go ahead and show the screenshots. I actually think the first screenshots you see at the end of the video are the ones of the house that I cut out, just because you can kind of see what I'm doing. All of the furniture and styles that I'm doing throughout this whole lot is pretty much the same. You know, I change up colour swatches here and there, but as a general rule, everything is pretty much the same in terms of the furniture that I used. So there are kind of bits here and there where I did go ahead and cut out to save a little bit of time in the speed build, because it's literally like seeing the same thing 5 times. So I kind of just showed you the things that are a little bit different here and there. And yeah, so what else was, oh, last week I was actually, well, yesterday for me, but for you last week in the Craftsman Mansion build, I was talking about how I've been kind of getting back into cooking and baking and stuff, and it's because, well, there was one thing as well, I said like how I got a KitchenAid as a 16-year-old. I got that 2 years ago. I didn't get it, I'm not 16, I'm 18, and I got that 2 years ago. That probably makes no sense if you've seen that video, but if you've watched like right until the end, it might make a little bit more sense. I don't know if anybody's picked up on that, but I kind of, it sounded like I was saying I was 16 years old. It's not really a major thing, I just thought I'd point it out in case anybody got confused. Anyway, so yeah, I've been getting back into baking. Like I said, I've been kind of, I had a really big kind of phase where I was obsessed with baking, and then I kind of just kind of phased out a little bit over the last year, I would say. But it kind of got like really kind of, I used to do a load of baking. I actually used to do kind of like all the desserts, because on Sundays, like every few weeks on a Sunday, we'll go down to my grandparents' house to have Sunday dinner, and I also used to bring the main dessert, and also on like, you know, holidays as well, like Easter and birthdays and Christmas, I always used to bring the main dessert, and because my nana also bakes a lot as well, but you know, since she's, you know, it kind of just lessens her workload, I suppose, but like I said, I haven't really been doing that the last couple of years, because I don't know why I haven't really been doing it, but I used to have so much stuff, and I actually had to get like this industrial shelving in the garage to put all my stuff in these big crates and stuff, because I kind of bought so many kind of equipment and stuff like that over the years, so it was kind of weird to go back into that all again the last week when I'm kind of getting back into it, because I haven't like touched it for a while. And also a lot of cleaning as well that I had to do before I started using everything again. But, you know, it was kind of nice to get back into it and have... I don't really know if that's really something you're interested in hearing. I know people kind of ask me to talk about other things in the build, so I suppose that's one thing. But yeah, so we're nearing the end of the build already. We're kind of, well, I mean, we've still got like 4 minutes or so of footage left, because then we've got like 2 minutes of screenshots, I would say. Maybe not 2 full minutes, but near enough of screenshots. If you don't know, I don't know how many people actually watched the end of the build. It kind of actually makes me really happy when I see people like comment about kind of things I'm talking about later in the build, like towards the end of something. If I ask like a question or something and I see people like actually comment back about that, it always kind of makes me feel really happy that people actually watch the full video. I'll never really expect people to watch the full video, because like looking back at my analytics from, well, not really recently, I haven't really looked at them that often, but my viewer retention used to be really bad. Like, I mean, probably like a few months ago. Yeah, what did I say, a few months ago? Probably a few months ago, and it took me like, I think it was like 36% or something average of the amount of people for a particular video that watch until the end, which is very, very low. But recently I've seen a lot more comments of people talking about like answering questions or, you know, discussing things that I've talked about later in the video, which always makes me very happy to see. So I mean, of course, that isn't really just something to say that you have to watch to the end. That's up to you, but it is really nice when I see that. Anyway, back to the build here. So we're just working on a little hallway here too. Now that like hallway, doorway clutter sort of stuff, I do normally cut out in, well, generally in all my speed builds, and also this particular build in general, but I just thought I'd go ahead and show you what I was doing there, because it's like I used the exact same stuff in all of these 5 homes, so I just thought I'll go ahead and show you there, and you may have seen it in one of the past rooms if I forgot to cut it out, I don't know. Anyway, so we're just working on another one of these bedrooms, and as you can see, a lot of these bedrooms are neutral. I see this in literally every single build now, but I keep all my, well, most of the time, I keep most of my bedrooms fairly neutral, so you can go ahead and move in. You don't have to worry about, you know, kind of changing the rooms up, because there's like clutter for like a toddler when you have a teen, and, you know, changing all that stuff up. I don't really do kids rooms either, for that same purpose, just to keep things easier for you to download, and I also like a less cluttered look in my builds, so that's what I do a lot. But you know, like sometimes it is nice to do, you know, some kids rooms and stuff, but I just don't do them that often anymore. And yeah, so we're just working on one of the last homes. I think this is actually the last home you see here in this speed build, because the last home is exactly the same as the first one we worked on, so I'll just cut that out the footage completely, I think. Maybe you'll see one little bit, I don't really know actually. And this home too also has like a little backyard area. This home right here that we're working on now has the biggest backyard area of all the homes. I think all of the houses have their own kind of porch, but none of them really have their own garden space, but this one does, because it was in the corner and had a little bit more space. Kind of just worked out that way, really. I didn't plan on it. And also you can see that I kind of put garage doors in all of the builds as well. I mean, they're not functional at the minute. I hope we'll get cars one day, but you know, it's kind of just to add to the look of it, of like a suburban home, because they seem to all have garages. And yeah, so right now we're just working on a little study here. Again, fairly neutral in terms of the wall coverings and stuff, just to keep things simple. And you know, I wasn't really too sure what I should do for this home in terms of cluttering it up. Like I said just before that, I don't really like to do that often, but sometimes it is nice to kind of do things, you know, like kitchen clutter and stuff like that. But originally the look that I wanted to go for was like, this is like a very basic kind of, you know, a new estate that's just been built, and you know, people are just starting to move in, so it's not very personalized, it's got the basic things in. But then I was kind of thinking, well, for the speed build purpose, that's going to be a little bit boring to watch. So I thought I'd go ahead and kind of include it, but keep things simpler in some areas as well. Just kind of keep things balanced, I suppose, and kind of go a little bit with my original idea, but, you know, sort of change it up in a way to make it better for the speed build purpose. And here is one of the rooms, which, is this a kid's room or not? I can't remember if I made this into a kid's room. No, I think this is more of like a pre-teens room, because it's kind of like got a single bed and it's a little bit more colourful, but it doesn't really have any kids' toys in it. So, you know, that's kind of what I was thinking behind this room. I don't really have backstories, or, well, that doesn't really sound right, but I kind of like a meaning behind each room. I kind of keep things fairly neutral, but, you know, that's something you could use if you want to. And yeah, so we're at the end of the build here. I really hope you enjoyed. In the comments section down below, let me know about what you thought of this build. I know it was something a little bit different, but since I do suburban builds kind of all the time, I thought it'd be nice to kind of change things up and do something slightly different for once. But let me know if you want to see more different things like this, and if you have any more mansion build ideas, then that'll be really helpful to hear. I know I put this video up on a Sunday, it might be a Friday, I don't know, but those 2 days I do mansion builds. I suppose this really isn't a mansion build, but it is on a 50 by 50 lot, so I decided to class it as one of my weekly mansion builds. But yes, so go ahead and download this from the gallery. My origin ID is real, ThomasTV1. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!